Wonderful Sunday. It's the first one of the second month of this year, February 2024. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I'm trying to figure out who will be our last couple of African American men that we're going to learn about and celebrate. Oh my goodness. Could it be this architect? Looked like we might almost be at the end. Did we talk about Sir David Adjaye? I believe we talked about Leland Melvin, the astronaut, right? We talked about him. How I kept on saying NASA, like the Bahamas, NASA, right? And he did great things. And he's still alive and just a brilliant man. But I think we left off on Sir David Adjaye. He's an architect. And as the son of a Ghanaian diplomat from one of my favorite places in West Africa, David lived in many countries throughout his youth. He learned about different cultures and various art forms. After David's youngest brother became paralyzed and began using a wheelchair, the family settled in London to get better medical treatment. David never forgot how his family had to access buildings through ill-conceived and humiliating handicapped entrances. At school, David excelled in many subjects, but when one of his teachers encouraged him to take an art course, he discovered architecture. Like Jean Gang, the Aqua building downtown. She's a young lady. And she's been able to travel all over the world and impact design. Well, anyway, he took an art course and discovered architecture. David appreciated its power to shape societies and serve communities. After studying at the Royal Academy of Arts, he traveled all over the world, observing how buildings work within their environments. David's designs are noted for his use of patterns, many influenced by his African heritage. The blue and green windows, yes, in the Idea stores in London resemble the bold, geometric, woven pattern of kente cloth, while also mimicking the awnings that the building overlooks. David's experience with his brother made him consider the social responsibilities of an architect. Yes, his design for the Moscow School of Management, Skolkovo, is made up of 4 buildings, all connected so that no one should have to go outside during the freezing winters. With the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which opened in 2016, David was designing more than a building. He was creating an actual monument that sits on the National Mall, not far from the Washington Monument and the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. It needed to be a beautiful structure that housed painful memories, but he also wanted it to be a joyous celebration of Black history in America, inside and out. He used metal designs influenced by Black craftsmen from the American South, while the building's 3-level shape was inspired by a Yoruba crown. In 2017, David was knighted for his services to architecture. He continues to use his curiosity and creativity to make the world a more beautiful and socially conscious place. Isn't this wonderful? And this is Sir David Adjaye. And it's funny, I was looking at another building this morning on the way to church, and it's on University of Chicago campus. And this edition of the laboratory schools, I believe, was designed from an African-American architect. And it mimicked the Gothic styles, the triangles and the pitched roofs. It's a masterpiece, but it's covered with blue, green, teal glass. It is just wonderful. So I'm gonna pull up Sir David Adjaye to see where is he now? Let's see. Yeah, Ghanaian British architect. He's 57 years old, and he has his design firm studios in Accra, where we visited. And he has Adjaye Associates, is an award-winning architectural and design firm with studios in London, in New York, in Accra, and he's the founder and principal. Oh my, we are so proud of him, and he's married to Ashley Shaw Scott, and they're doing great things. So we're very, very proud of him. And like I said, he's only 57. So well done, sir. And I wonder, could we pull up the University of Chicago laboratory architect, new building. I don't know if we have that. Oh, well, there's another building that's going to be built, but that's, I think that's for that's the new engineering and science building. I'm talking about, well, anyway, I'm not sure who was that. Second phase. Well, you have the phase over on the southeast side, Stony Island. Anyway, I wasn't talking about that one, but just great things going on. I'm so proud of all of these contributors. And then we're at the end of this book, and they have snippets of some other people. W.E.B. Du Bois, we know he was an intellectual activist. He helped form the NAACP in 1909 in order to fight for civil rights for Black people. He helped found the Crisis magazine and wrote many books about racism and its effects, including the classic The Souls of Black Folk, which is still widely read today. And George Dixon, considered by many to be the greatest fighter of the 19th century. He was the first Black world champion in any sport and the first Canadian boxing champion. A fast and clever fighter, he held the bantamweight and featherweight crowns. And then you have Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Negro History Week. That turned out to be a month. Let's see. A voracious learner, he traveled the world and met many different people. He realized how important remembering the past was to understand the present. He started Negro History Week in 1926 and wrote many books about Black history. Fritz Pollard, I have a young man, I believe he's a descendant of his, the first African and Native American head coach in what would become the NFL. He was the first Black player to take part in the Rose Bowl in 1916 with Brown University and to win a championship in 1920 with the Akron Pros, nicknamed the Human Torpedo. We got some more. Robert Whirlwind Johnson, the first Black doctor given practice rights at Lynchburg General Hospital. He also created a free junior tennis program for Black kids to teach positive values and desegregate tennis in Virginia. His most famous students were Althea Gibson and Arthur Ashe, talked about him, and Bayard Rustin, an early leader of the civil rights movement and an openly gay man. He mentored Martin Luther King Jr. and introduced him to nonviolent protest. He was one of the main organizers of the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963. I've heard of him. And of course, Nelson Mandela, as a member of the African National Congress, he fought against apartheid in South Africa. This led to 26 years of imprisonment. Under pressure by anti-apartheid groups worldwide, the government freed him in 1990. Nelson helped end apartheid and was elected president of South Africa in 1994. We have so many others to to talk about. Let's stir up our inspiration and make a difference while we can. Good night.